Hey, we did get to see some Akali show up yesterday. Maybe we'll get some more of her this time around as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if any of these teams were watching the LCK playoffs last night, but the wild card happened. We got some Quinn top, we got some Yasuo mid, we had some pretty sick picks. So definitely would be excited to see some more Quinn back in rotation. We still have only seen Sneaky play it, and only in the bottom lane, but it has proven to be a very effective counter pick up in the top lane. And there's been a ton of discussion recently about, hey, you know, why is Red Side doing poorly in NA? Most of the conclusions that people have come to is about the fact that the Red Side teams are not effectively counterpicking in the top lane. And Quinn is something that you can actually use to get a huge advantage in that 1v1.
I mean, we were watching a little bit of the LCK from last night just before the game started here today, and the Quinn pick in that first game between Gen G and the Afrika Freaks was definitely effective up against Kuve's Jarvan. We'll have to see how the top lane plays out this game because Echo Fox has secured the Aatrox there for Huni.
Yeah, this could be a game where you do see, you know, one of those counter picks. Dhokla showed that he is willing to play Fiora into the Aatrox. I am very heavily expecting a first-rounded Fiora. It doesn't have to be, you know, right now, but in this first round before the second set of bans, I think we are going to get the Fiora into that matchup against Huni in the top lane. It worked out for OpTic last time, but obviously Huni can be a bit of a different beast than Darshan. You know, he may be able to kind of play around it.
At the same time, Huni is one of those players that can be caught going too aggressive all too often. We've seen him get punished for it before, and especially if you're in this carry versus carry, Aatrox versus Fiora, you get punished a couple of times, you get ganked by that kindred, you're going to find yourself on the wrong side of the tempo.
Yeah, you really are. And OpTic, you know, talking about their strength schedule, they had the hardest 4 remaining games of anyone. They have to play all the top 3 teams and TSM as well. So that is extremely tough. But, you know, already, if we see the Syndra get locked in, you can have both the solo lanes be counterpicked in the first round and even then save your support for, you know, a potential kind of counterpick in the bottom lane. But the Syndra is not going to get locked in just yet. Either way, I already like the fact that they are going to have a nice counterpick up in the top lane. Tahm, Kench, Ashe, you know, more of a kind of supportive duo there in the bottom lane for Echo Fox. So there is potential for OpTic to get advantages across the map, and they're going for lane-heavy priority. It's a Draven lock-in.
Baby, Draven locked in for OpTic Gaming, and Arrow specifically to go up against that more utility bottom lane like you were talking about from the other side. And interestingly enough, talking about the Syndra that you saw hovered, powerOfEvil tweeted about how they're playing against Echo Fox today, and the response from Damonte was first one to lock Syndra wins. So he was thinking about that win condition there, but the team obviously wanted to go with something else as the second part of the bans come through, and we will see the Gragas taken off the table.
And we should get powerOfEvil to have that, you know, next counter pick here. You know, in that last pick on the red side, they could potentially have advantages in all 3 lanes and really look for that win lane, win game style. If I'm OpTic here, I do think that, you know, going for a range support in the bottom side makes some sense. Yes, you do end up with a fairly squishy composition if you go for that, but Draven plus a range support should absolutely blast a Tahm, Kench, Ashe in lane. And when you have a lane advantage on the top side, and if you have a lane advantage in the bottom lane, you have the ability to also counterpick mid lane. It becomes very difficult for Dardoch, no matter what jungler he has, to actually, you know, be proactive and get out there on the map.
And especially for OpTic, when your jungler is this champion where extra early game control leads to those marks coming in that much quicker, leads to you having that extra range that we talk about as being so important on Kindred, that's a phenomenal way to have the draft play out for him specifically.
It really is. And yesterday, Dardoch really wasn't able to ever get going in their game. You know, against 100 Thieves, they got dismantled pretty heavily. I think 100 Thieves having the Poppy jungle pick into Lee Sin, into Alistar, into Yasuo was so incredibly strong, and, you know, he really shut down so much of what Dardoch was trying to do on the Lee Sin, and we're getting the Zilean. There is potential this could go support, but I am expecting that to be mid. Zilean support does not have a strong laning phase. If there was a lane you could get away with it into, though, it would be a Tahm Kench lane, who really is kind of one of the lowest laning presence supports in the game, I would say. And Zilean can still be very effective from the support role, you know, in those later stages once you start picking up CDR. Oh, wow, they may be flexing things around. I think they're going to go Aatrox mid. They're going to put the Rumble top to try to, like, counterpick the Fiora as well here from Dhokla. So this is pretty interesting from Echo Fox. It could also potentially be Rumble jungle or Aatrox jungle. Both of those can work. one of my friends, Nick Wu, former pro, is really about the Aatrox jungle, has played a lot of that, had pretty good success. You can play it fairly aggressively. The clear can be fairly strong, but Rumble jungle, also something that we have seen quite a bit in the past, and this is turning out to be very, very interesting. A lot of mind games, a lot of kind of next step type of plays going through here in the draft.
The classic Echo Fox, keep them guessing. That's one thing that teams have expressed
Fizz.
difficulty
So it is Zilean
before.
support.
And Zilean's going to be on support.
Baby.
powerOfEvil is on the Fizz. And I believe this is pre-hotfix Fizz?
Yeah, I think
This is
so.
the really, 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 really strong Fizz?
This is the Fizz that went up like 6 or 7% win rate in the patch with those buffs. So it is incredibly strong. There are mind games on mind games on mind games in this draft. It is looking like it's going to be Aatrox jungle. You know, obviously, Echo Fox throws out the Aatrox, suggesting that is top. That gets counterpicked. Then you have OpTic throwing out the Zilean. You're assuming that is mid. The Zoe comes in as an answer there, but then they flex to support. They bring in that Fizz. Echo Fox flexes the Aatrox to jungle, brings in the Rumble for an advantageous top lane. So lots of crazy stuff happening here. Gonna be a very, very explosive game. No true frontline for OpTic, and if Dhokla falls apart in that top lane against Huni on the Rumble, it may be difficult for them to find team fights later on.
Honestly, both of these teams are looking very vulnerable to any sort of pick or collapse. I mean, yeah, you've got the ability to save with the Tahm Kench on the side of Echo Fox. You've also got the built-in revive with the Aatrox. But if I'm looking at this team, I don't see anybody that's building 5 tank items and a pair of shoes.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, it can be difficult to assassinate people as the Fizz against the Tahm Kench, who is going to gobble up whatever your target is. But that being said, Fizz has a lot of roaming potential. If we can see powerOfEvil get out to the side lanes, someone like Huni can be collapsed on, taken down very, very quickly. You want to be building armor. You want to be getting that Zonies early against Dhokla on the Fiora. But powerOfEvil is not going to care at all about that, and you certainly will be vulnerable to the Fizz.
All right, we're loading into Summoner's Rift for game number 1 of the day between these two teams. We'll see if OpTic Gaming can get themselves back into that stride that they were on. They were on a 5-game win streak that has been interrupted very recently here, but Echo Fox will be a difficult opponent to deal with. Like you said, OpTic's last 2 weeks in terms of that schedule are just brutal for this team. They really have to prove that they belong here and deserve their spot.
They definitely do, and I mean, they've had a very strong second half. They have picked up the wins they needed to pick up, beating a lot of those weaker teams. And one of the other things that has kind of been very important, I think, for OpTic's success is it really feels like they have found their identity, right? This is clearly a split push team. And for the first time, it feels like everyone kind of knows that. It is not the self-funnel in that post kind of funnel era. They have been doing so much of this split push. We've had a couple Yorick games, now 2 Fiora games. We've had a couple Jace games. OpTic is all in on Dhokla, you know, getting these advantageous side lane matchups and kind of succeeding through that. It has worked sometimes, it has not worked others, but I think it's an intelligent playstyle, and I think it's one that kind of does suit what they are trying to do. powerOfEvil is a very smart player on how he plays the map and moves around, and the team seems to play well around Dhokla.
And talking about smart players and just smart things, I really like the decision overall to pick this Fizz into the Zoe. We always talk about how it seems like assassins are the ones who have Zoe's number.
Yeah.
And Zoe is a champion. Traditionally, you see a matchup, and you think, okay, this matchup is either good for me, it's bad for me, or it's relatively neutral. Zoe seems to just remove that third category that doesn't exist anymore. You either just have a miserable time against Zoe or you do well against her.
Yeah.
And Fizz
Win or you die.
Yeah, you win or you die. Welcome to Zoe lanes. And Fizz is one of those champions that can just burst her completely out of the lane.
She definitely can. I think that Fizz is going to struggle in the early levels, but a level 2 gank can help with that.
Level 2 gank, indeed. We'll make sure that Damonte does not have that flash available. That is the real summoner spell. Didn't have a backup ready to go.
Yeah, that is good stuff from Akaadian getting that pressure down, but at the same time, we see Dardoch is already going to be beating him to the punch on this Scuttle Crab. We're going to have to find out who is going to be able to get that. Akaadian has no smite. Dardoch doesn't know that, and he has no smite. So I think Dardoch is just assuming because he has no smite that his opponent may, he may have done a smiteless camp. Also, the bottom lane was able to roam faster from OpTic. So not only does Akaadian get that mid lane pressure, he gets the Scuttle and is going to head straight up top for the second Scuttle for that bounty. There could be a pretty important fight over that. I mean, if Akaadian gets this, not only does he get both Scuttles and a significant XP advantage, he gets the first bounty.
See how these two square off for this one. Dardoch
Oh,
gonna
that
find
burst.
quite a lot of damage onto Akaadian here. Akaadian wants to get himself away, but powerOfEvil is able to make the rotation
Might get him.
first. Dardoch has already used his flash. He's got no way out of this. The slow comes through. powerOfEvil needs a single more auto attack. There's the smite, though. They're looking to bait this one in. Dardoch's still going to be taken low. And first blood goes to PoE. Akaadian can't get himself over the wall. It could be a 2-for-1. And Echo Fox will mop him up.
The collapse coming down there from Huni makes it a 2-for-1. But they do get first blood onto the Fizz. They do get that mark for Kindred because he did have Dardoch marked and got the assist. The scuttle is still also up, so they might just be both of them running straight back to this. Here it is one more time. Akaadian and Dardoch had already used their flashes. Dardoch was out of Q charges, couldn't actually get any closer. Runs straight back to the scuttle for the smite. Intelligent play from him, and then flashing over the bubble there is powerOfEvil to avoid that sleep. Good stuff from him, but Huni coming down, low HP. They do get cleaned up.
Really nice idea to go for that from OpTic initially, but Dardoch, honestly, on that smite was what bought enough time for Huni's rotation to make that one really sing for Echo Fox. Dhokla now stuck underneath the turret, dealing with that rumble. Going back to what you said in Champion Select, this is Echo Fox going for that counter pick, making it so you can try to neutralize that Fiora a little bit better, not give her that situation that she wants in the 1-versus-1 where she just gets to duel you. Rumble's going to shove this in and just make her farm up.
Yeah, and Rumble really does not care about parry much at all. Like, that's one of the big strengths of Fiora is that, you know, CC-based champions like Aatrox, it's so free to actually parry that and stun that person. You reduce their attack speed. Rumble just sits there, presses S and Flame Spitter, and like, you don't really care that much. Okay, great. You
Throw up an emote or something while
yeah,
you're
like you parried a couple ticks of Flame Spitter, okay, you know, that's fine, but really it makes it kind of hard for Fiora. You're never really going to have the push in the early levels. You are going to be getting bullied, and the fact that Huni had lane priority meant they get that 2-for-1, means they have them pushed in, and now potentially looking for a dive. Dhokla's already low.
Redemption coming in, going to be used there to provide just a little bit of extra zoning potential. Dhokla trying to use the riposte to keep himself alive. Huni's going to be taken very low here, nearly taken down. Dhokla doesn't drop just yet. Dardoch going to be eating the turret aggro next. Dhokla does a very good job defending that.
Yeah, Dhokla played that very, very well. Doesn't even have to use the flash and survives. He could have potentially flashed to trade a kill, but I think it is smarter to just play it the way he is, play it more defensively, just take the fact that you survive, TP back, stay safe, because Fiora is going to scale up, and as expected, Huni can be rushing that early Seeker so effective for Rumble to just kind of stack armor, you know, against an AD jungler and an AD top laner, but what that doesn't prepare you for is any potential Fizz roam that could come through.
Fizz level 5 right now here for powerOfEvil. Will be level 6 very soon, and that opens up a whole new world of possibility as Damonte will walk into this brush where Akaadian is ready and waiting, but Akaadian's very low HP. I don't know what he thought was going to happen there.
I mean, he didn't even have any combat stats purchased. And
no. You gotta scratch your head on that when you honestly do. He's sitting there at level 4. He's got a limited amount of health to work with. That's just not a fight you take.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when Damonte didn't see him with that Scryer's Bloom, he's like, okay, maybe I can get a good trade in, but that is really underestimating the amount of damage that a Zoe can put out. His teammates are not close enough, so here the Scryer's Bloom does miss, and he does face check, but you can see that he has
2/3 HP to start this off.
Yeah, he's 2/3 HP. He didn't even have so much as a dagger purchased up. He was sitting on just the Hunter's Machete and the Hunter's Talisman there. So really poor fight to take from Akaadian. Giving a freebie over to Damonte is definitely going to make it a lot harder for powerOfEvil. And, you know, Akaadian having a bit of a rough start.
Well, pick up his red buff at least. Gets it just in time as well. Damonte and Dardoch, the two-man invade squad, looking to secure that buff away from Akaadian after he has already been set behind now. Fortunately for him, they just a little bit too slow on that rotation. He'll get away down towards the bottom part of the map now as powerOfEvil will continue shoving up the mid lane.
I do like this this itemization choice here from Dhokla. Going for some early lifesteal with the Vamp Scepter, that in combination with Grasp, your defensive talents, as well as the Doran's Blade lifesteal, really does help a ton in actually surviving this poke coming through from the Rumble. And I see so many people just going to the default build of, yep, you got a Tiamat first and then getting poked out. So
Christmas with Grandma, get the cookie cutter.
So I haven't heard that one. That was good. That was good.
Yeah.
I like that. But yeah, the Vamp Scepter I think going to help out a lot there.
Well, hopefully for his sake, that will allow him to stay in that lane just a little bit more and deal with, like you said, the ability to press S and just stand there and dominate the lane that Rumble has against some of these melee matchups. While bottom side, I want to take a look specifically at the Draven Ashe because this is one that we talked about. Yeah, Tahm Kench isn't exactly the best support into a ranged opponent, but Zilean is one of those ranged opponents that doesn't have the most lane presence of his own. So even though Draven's normally thought of as this dominating matchup for most AD carries to have to deal with, this is breaking relatively even with a slight edge going over to OpTic.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're playing with a Tahm Kench, you have the option of going like a Nami or a Zyra or a Brand or something and trying to slam the lane, or you can take something like this Zilean and you're just saying, all right, we're not going to slam the lane, but I'm going to have a free lane to scale up on, right? And you're going to then depend on the fact that Big is going to be worth more than Smoothie in those team fights. And I think that's a reasonable bet to make because you know, Zilean really, with that ultimate, is super effective in the team fights. You can buy some pretty cheap CDR items. You're going to get 10% from the Frostbang, go for some early Lucidity boots, these sorts of items, and you know, try to hit a quick 20, 30% CDR. That ultimate starts being up very often. The speed ups become extremely valuable. Yes, you're not adding a lot of damage, but the utility is tremendous.
And let's go back to what you were talking about earlier, how OpTic's found success as we watch the blades soar across the map and find something a little bit peculiar as they do make their way onto two members across that map there. The Ocean Drake's going to be taken, but you mentioned how OpTic has found success kind of playing the split push style, enabling Dhokla, giving him the comfort picks. powerOfEvil also being a huge member for this team means that if you set up a 1-3-1 with this comp, putting Fiora in one lane, Fizz in one lane, the remaining three members together, Zilean is an awesome pick to facilitate them not being collapsed.
Yeah. When you add in the Zilean and the Kindred combo, this is what we had seen C9 run, obviously with lower AP, less farm, etc. It's a bit different, but it is, you know, the similar idea to what they were trying to pull off. But certainly there are some wrenches being thrown in the gears. I mean, EchoFox is up 2K already, and the first turret gold is all going to Huni. So if you look at the individual gold advantage, Huni is going to be very far ahead already. You know, he's 1,500 gold ahead of his opponent. Tabbies plus Seekers means there's basically no way that Dhokla is going to be able to really pressure him heavily in that 1v1 for a long time. So they have to buy time now, and you know, it's not going to be in the next 10 minutes. It's probably going to be looking for like 15, 20 minutes really before this Fiora can actually start to have pressure on the side lanes. And that's a significant amount of time that EchoFox has then to look for plays, to find picks with Ashe, and to try to create an edge.
Dardoch finds a lot of damage onto powerOfEvil and honestly just solos him down.
Look at Dardoch just laughing there. The Warrior is completed. The Thunderlords is procced. Chilling Smite, Thunderlords, hitting those sweet spots with the Qs. That was well played by Dardoch, knowing the limits of that champion.
It's not normally Fizz that walks up to a bush and gets one shot. The tables have been turned on the
How do you like it?
What do you think about that, Fizz? Well, apparently, Dardoch thinks it's pretty good. Let's take another look here.
Yeah, Dardoch has himself waiting in that bush, and the amount of damage really is tremendous. I mean, that is huge damage coming through. The third Q I don't even think hit there. You know, powerOfEvil actually dashed through to avoid that sweet spot, but the sweet spot did hit on the second Q. Thunderlords proc, the Chilling Smite, tons of upfront damage there, and there's some pretty insane burst style builds that you can go if you want to go all in for this on Aatrox. I have seen Aatrox go in the jungle, second item Stormrazor, you run in, the Warbringer stance gives you that bonus auto, that becomes a guaranteed crit, and then it's just like Thunderlords procs, you just come up and slap them and they just lose all their health.
It's one of those things that you look at and you initially think, oh, there's no way that would ever work in anywhere but solo queue. That's too crazy. But sometimes crazy is just a little bit of what you need, Azales.
I mean, this draft is already crazy,
it's
right?
Successful, exactly. This is what EchoFox is good at, though. So many times we heard from teams and from players, I don't want to play against EchoFox because the draft is always just such a chaotic mess. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what they're going to go for. And it's one of the things that has really allowed this team to stand out and find wins in ways that other teams could not.
Four-man bot, here we go.
OpTic collapse and make this happen. It's still a collapse onto a Kench lane, and that's just not a recipe for success right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they had the minions in position, you can make that dive happen regardless because you have Fizz for untargetability, you have Zilean for the ultimate, so many easy ways to reset that. Unfortunately, the minions weren't in position, so unlikely to make that happen, and EchoFox is just pushing mid.
Maybe able to get this for themselves. A couple more hits will take down that turret. Dardoch's going to be looking to go underneath there now himself. Does go into the ultimate mode.
Expire, though.
Trying to get the revive. OpTic want to wait it out. He will be taken very low. powerOfEvil goes in, finds the kill for himself. Now going to be forced into the stasis from the hourglass into the stopwatch, I should say instead. powerOfEvil still gets himself away from this one. Damonte skipping away. picks up a flash on his way out. Doesn't need to use it just yet, but that's still a kill going the way of OpTic.
Yeah, nicely done for OpTic to pick up that kill, but still, if you're Echo Fox, you just knocked down another outer turret, and it's the mid lane, which is a really big one, so you're going to be happy to take that trade. You'll give up a death in order to get that turret. Here it is one more time. You can see Dardoch even is committing the ultimate to just knock down this turret faster. Doesn't want any potential of getting burst down in the initial engage. They drop the Rumble ultimate, going forward onto Akaadian, and powerOfEvil seeing, all right, that white bar is almost full. That means Dardoch ultimate is going to expire. Arrow gets tagged with the arrow. Is going to be wide on his ultimate, but powerOfEvil goes in, finishes it off, has the stopwatch to stay safe, and the fact that Dhokla and the rest of the team is coming down means they will get out, but still positive play for Echo Fox overall.
Nice use of the stopwatch from powerOfEvil. Of course, he will be going into his Zhonya's Hourglass later, most likely, to make sure he can continue making plays like that here on the Fizz. But looking across the board, you are starting to see some of the items come online here. The Luden's Echo also completed for Damonte. Zoe means that poke is going to be even scarier than it was before, while Blade of the Ruined King for Lost will help enable some more of that kiting potential, although you're not going to get a lot of value from the percent HP shred just yet, considering there's not really a tanky opponent on the other side. You're still going to have that kiting potential. And it'll also help for taking down some of the big neutral objectives as well. Maybe you go for a Baron, a Drake, something like that. But
yeah, and it is just, you know, kind of more of a safe build, I guess, because you have this lifesteal, right? Like, he built early Vamp Scepter to help himself get through any potential bad trades that he could have with this Draven, and, you know, he's going to have pretty high consistent DPS. We may see him go into something like a PD, knowing that he doesn't need to put out as much DPS. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of damage coming through from the rest of the team, so having Blade of the Ruined King for self-peel, going into something like a PD to help you stay alive a little bit more against, you know, these aggressive picks like the Fizz and like this Fiora who could be diving in onto you, makes a lot of sense, because really all he has to do is probably hit an Ashe arrow and they're going to get those cooldowns, or they're going to get those kills when you have Aatrox, Zoe, and Rumble to follow it up.
And speaking about the cooldowns and the Ashe arrow specifically, now that Echo Fox have 2 turrets down from OpTic's side, that means we're going to start seeing more rotations. We're going to start seeing this team look around to find where they go next as a 5-man unit. And specifically, that means the tools that they have drafted in terms of that Ashe arrow and that Tahm Kench ultimate could be very useful in setting up some of these flanks and collapses.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if Fiora's trying to get out to a side lane, Tahm Kench ults in with a couple extra members. You suddenly turn the tables there on the Fiora, and that can get pretty tricky. Dardoch going towards what is much more standard than a Stormrazor, looking like it will be just a Black Cleaver. Grabbing that early CDR is going to be so nice. Put him at 30% with the Warrior plus Black Cleaver build, and you really can see Aatrox thrive with that CDR. Being able to spam out the Qs, having your ultimate up for every single team fight is so important for that champion.
And with control over the bottom side of the map right now, Echo Fox will start up this Earth Drake for themselves. I just took a look at Akaadian's stack counter. He is up to 3 marks of the kindred 16 minutes into the game, so critically needs 1 more though before he does get that 75 range bonus as mid lane. 1 versus 1. It's stopwatch used by Damonte to keep himself safe from the ultimate from powerOfEvil. That's a nice cooldown to get, considering he's not going to have another one available until he completes that item. PoE's happy.
Yeah, and you also have to remember that Fizz ultimate is a ridiculously low cooldown. Even only rank 2 without a tremendous amount of CDR, it's like 1 minute, right? So that is going to be up very quickly. In the late game,
63 seconds.
Yeah, in the late game, you can have like a 30-second Fizz ultimate where he throws that out. If it hits you, you're going to die. And that can be used basically every single wave. So it does get pretty crazy. And certainly going to have to see Damonte playing very carefully as this Fizz ultimate comes back up. If Damonte gets tagged with no stopwatch and his teammates are not there, he is going to go down.
OpTic will finally take down their first turret of the game there in the top side, but at the same time, they'll be losing their bottom lane tier 2 along with that tier 1. Echo Fox just doing a better job in the macro play overall so far. Shelly's still alive as well. Means Echo Fox will continue escorting her up, making sure they can get another headbutt. powerOfEvil wants to collapse on this one. TP also going to be used here. OpTic wants to make this collapse happen. The arrow comes out. Akaadian going to get stunned up. Dardoch taken low, but remember he's got the resurrection. Huni there onto the front line, just torching everybody. Dardoch's the first one to fall, and Echo Fox now finds themselves in full retreat. A beautiful stun from Dhokla. The Zilean ulti onto him means he's going to be able to chase this one even further. Tries to dodge away, but it's a killing spree for Damonte. 2 for 1 so far for the side of OpTic. powerOfEvil's not looking to stop anytime soon, and he won't have to. Shutdown credit goes over to Akaadian.
And the bounty there, so there's lucky number 4 for Akaadian. powerOfEvil again flashing over That sleepy trouble bubble has done that multiple times, and Lost is going to have to head back to base. Gets spotted by that Scryer's Bloom. Akaadian will get himself another mark there, finding those bounties left and right. Looking very, very good. But they do lose both their bottom lane turrets. They lose a lot of health on the inhibitor turret as well. So this is a great push from EchoFox. powerOfEvil set this all up, though. So much credit to him. Not only did he get behind, he dropped the TP ward just then for Dhokla. And Huni does have a very nice equalizer across multiple members, but actually watch this parry from Dhokla. He gets slept up. The parry goes out now to actually parry, and it ends up stunning Huni because the sleep procs as he is parrying there, so picking up the kill there. Then Dhokla, the ultimate from Zilean expires, he flashes out, but Damonte is on top of it with the beautiful Paddle Star redirect, catching him right there. Shut down gold onto Akaadian, another mark in his pocket. And Akaadian gonna pick up a lot of gold there. 600 on the shutdown, gets 2 bounties off of that eventual play, grabbing the second one off of the chickens. So
he got the bounties, but he didn't do much damage in the fight. He got about half.
He got the kill credit. It's the
he got the kill credit, but he did half as much damage as Tahm can. So,
but he's doing his best.
Yeah. Hey, now that he's got, it's because he didn't have the 75 range. Exactly. Now that he can shoot those arrows a little bit further, that damage will have all the reach in the world that it needs. But OpTic still has to deal with the fact that they are down 4 turrets to 1. They are still down 1.5 thousand gold, and they're down all the tempo right now. Look at how far forward EchoFox is. They're controlling the enemy jungle. They're stealing away the camps. They're putting down the vision.
They definitely are doing a good job of that, but this bought OpTic quite a bit of time. They got a lot of kills there. This is, the first trade that really felt like, wow, you actually closing that gold gap, and you can see powerOfEvil now has a full Lich Bane completed. So he's saying, none of this Zhonya's nonsense. Baby. I am going aggressive. I am going for those kills. And getting the Lich Bane is also going to help him a ton if he goes for the side lane. So Protobelt, not only does it give you mobility, it really ramps up that wave clear. Lich Bane, if you get access to those turrets, you are going to smash them down so quickly. So the build not only good for assassination, but good in that side lane.
This is the build that makes people get mad at you in the all chat and solo queue when they're on the enemy team. This is the one you don't get a lot of chance to counterplay if he finds that angle. The sleep does make its way onto Akaadian. Will fall back. Arrow gets himself stunned up. Nice use of the cleanse there to make sure there's no further collapse from the side of EchoFox. OpTic will be shoved away without being able to get that second turret.
Yep, and you can see down on the bottom side, though, Dhokla was pushing in, and they had pushed up the top wave before looking to make this play. So because they had been managing those waves, because they had the side lane advantages, there was not really a big cost to that play. Sure, they spent the ultimate, but again, kind of Fizz ult tracking timer, it's down to 1 minute flat now, 60 seconds on that cooldown, and it's only going to get faster and faster. He's going to be able to shoot those out pretty liberally. And as you pointed out in draft, there's so many good targets, right? These are not really tanky members. Tahm Kench is just about the only one you're going to be sad to hit.
Right, and I mean, Tahm Kench still, if you can burst him down, get rid of the ability for him to save anybody else, it's still a win, right? Yeah. Like, this isn't a Poppy or a Cho'Gath or something that has the full resources of a solo laner building full tank all the time. He did have to make a pit stop, of course, for his Sightstone. He's not going to have that full force economy to make sure that he stays with the pace of the game in terms of full tankiness. That fish will tear through anybody. Something else that is really worth touching on is Draven is up to 550 adoration stacks, 560 now. So that is a lot of stacking that Arrow has done. He has not been able to cash in at all. You lose, I believe, 75% on death now. I believe that was changed. So I could be wrong on that. It may still be 50, but I believe it is 75. Either way, if he gets killed before he cashes in, that is going to be a very significant loss of potential gold. If he can get a big kill, though, in the next fight, he's going to have so much gold in his pocket, and it's really going to kind of springboard him forward into a completed item. Drowsy onto powerOfEvil, going to be chained into the arrow. They may be able to take him down very quickly. Dardoch now on the front line, going to be absorbing so much of the damage. The fish comes up, and Earth will claim yet another life. That life, however, will not be a real one as Dardoch does come back to life passive. Huni now looking for his way to maybe make it into this fight here, but doesn't look like that's going to happen just yet. OpTic decides now to go for the Mountain Drake. They know Dardoch was taken low and can't contest. They can't, but EchoFox is pushing topside. They're pushing up the mid lane. They're going to get some pressure around these turrets, potentially knock down another one, maybe get some Baron Vision. So that is the response, and it's certainly a reasonable one to go for. powerOfEvil, though, back out on the map. Maybe looking for Huni. He did not have an ult there, so not able to fully go after the chase there onto Huni. Huni with the Zhonya's Hourglass means you do have the ability to make sure you don't get hit by the big chomp from the Shark, but the armor's not going to be so useful there against powerOfEvil.
Definitely not. And Dhokla getting a turret on the bottom side of the map. So this is really, they have started to buy that time. You know, we talked at 10 minutes. How much time is Dhokla going to need before he starts to get pressure?
Yep.
You know, I said 15, 20 minutes. He has passed about, you know, that 15-minute mark is going to be coming up pretty soon. He's going to be on 2 items. He is starting to really create some pressure in that side lanes. And you can see that EchoFox is feeling a little bit of pressure to group and find fights because they do not feel confident in being able to side lane for the rest of this game. There are 2 incredibly strong duelists on OpTic that if they can spread the map, if they can avoid that team fight, they can look pretty good down the stretch. And it's actually going to be Triforce second year for Dhokla, so even more kind of 1v1 potential, and does give you a tremendous amount of power, again, if you get to those turrets. Arrow doesn't want to die here. I cannot believe Big did not ult there. That is
true discipline. True discipline from the Zilean player as Dardoch invades for the enemy red, going to be forcing powerOfEvil to jump over the wall to get himself away. They walk out with the buff, and EchoFox is looking for these fights. It's like you said, they don't want to play the split push game against what OpTic has drafted. That's just playing into their hand.
Yep.
You've got to go with that traditional EchoFox chaos style and just force things out, but Arrow will not be able to chase them down, even with the Zilean speed just yet. Bottom lane, it's 1v1, mano a mano. Who's going to end up taking this one? And it looks like nobody.
Yeah, and just tracking what Zilean is skilling here, he already has 5 points in the time warp. That is a 99% speed up or slow down. So Draven already has, you know, his speed up from that W with the Blood Rush. He's going to be a fast boy.
Akaadian popping the QSS, giving himself safe from that arrow. Lost, almost taken down there. Smoothie doing a good job keeping him alive. Arrow's very low on mana here in the mid lane. Damonte now going to be eating a couple of those spinning axes. Arrow tries to get out of the Aatrox range in time, does do so. Huni now going to be found by the Shark, gobbled up by Smoothie, who ends up taking the brunt of the Earth, and OpTic will fall back.
But OpTic are here in a 4v5, and they are pressuring their opponents, and at the same time, Dhokla is still just splitting bot. Dhokla won the 1v1 in the side lane, forced out the Zhonyas, you know, forces out those cooldowns. Huni's like, all right, well, I guess I got to group and try to find a fight, but they can't even get anything there. So OpTic really doing a good job, starting to pull EchoFox apart a little bit here. If OpTic can get that cashed in on Arrow, that is really the next big step for them. It's going to make them feel so confident going forward. I mean, he has just such a ridiculous amount of stacks now. 680 stacks.
You really, really, really want to cash those in. Hopefully for Arrow, he can find that. But going back to what you're talking about with Dhokla, I love seeing this team make plays work around this guy just because for so long, the biggest problem for the OpTic Gaming squad seemed to be finding a top laner that really worked for them, finding how the top lane was going to fit in their overall game plan. And with Dhokla on these split pushers, it seems like that's the answer. It seems like this just naturally feels like what the team should be doing.
It really does. I mean, for a long time, it's not even like they brought in a new guy. He's just playing in a new way, right? Dhokla had always been on Ornn duty or tanks, and he'd been losing lane. He had not been looking very good. I think he's building his confidence. The team has more confidence in him. And he had been more of a carry player in Academy. He had been more of this aggressive guy. So it seems to suit his playstyle. powerOfEvil is creating a ton of space on the map because he is aggressive. He knows how to side lane and play around that split push too. You know, they've talked a lot about the shot calling here from Big also, and it feels like a lot of things are coming together to kind of make OpTic a stronger team.
You did mention how a 5-game win streak was the name of the game before the past couple of matches for this squad. They'd love to turn those fortunes back around, get back on that winning train, especially with how difficult this end of the split is for them. EchoFox, one of those difficult opponents, but so far, this game is very close between these two.
It really is, and Huni's going to have to be careful now. He used his Equalizer mid lane. Triforce is completed for Dhokla. He has his ult, so you expend that Equalizer. You have no chance of 1v1ing Dhokla, so you have to just wave clear and stay under your turret at this point. If you go out too far at all, you will be getting taken down, and they're looking for Arrow, who, remember, has no cleanse, but Big has not been forced to use the Zilean ult really much at all, so he is going to have that in the back pocket, and so critical if EchoFox can take him down before those adoration stacks are cashed in.
And let's remember, too, how patient he showed he was with this ultimate so far. He's not going to use it unless absolutely necessary, while Akaadian will go ahead, pop the Lampress right there. Taken very low. Big again, just not going for the Zilean ult, trusting his teammate to get out from that one. The comms are clear enough. Big does save himself. Nice use of that there, but the Sleepy Trouble Bubble is going to make him drowsy. Nice block from Arrow, keeping his support alive as powerOfEvil now going to be taken down, but it's 1 for 1, and Arrow finds the big money.
And that is a 1 for 1, but that was almost 1,500 gold off of that kill. Arrow raking it in. Scrooge McDuck, he's swimming in it here.
Just take a dive right on
take
into
a
the
dive,
swimming
Arrow.
pool. He's got exactly what he was looking for with all those stacks for the past 28 minutes.
He has 3,000 gold to spend now. It's like, okay, well, I guess.
Draven dream, baby.
What item would I like? I get to buy a full one. That's nice.
Just walk into the mall with a blank check and take anything you want. We'll see what he decides to go with next after that one, but OpTic is happy there. You look at a trade, you say 1 for 1, okay, blah, 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 whatever. That's not 1 for 1. That's like 4 champions worth of gold going over to
1
Arrow.
for 1, but I give you an apple and you gave me a Ferrari. It's not a fair trade. So here it is one more time. Big is either an absolute genius with his ult, or he's a madman. I'm not sure which it is just yet, but he's calculating all the damage. He's running the numbers in his head, and it's working. I mean, Akaadian gets out, and he has the ultimate to save himself. The Zoe Sleepy Trouble Bubble here, really nice to follow up. He does flash out, but in comes Dardoch. The ultimate expires here. Dardoch wants to go aggressive, but he does not have the self-res, and there is that cash in 1491.
Woo! So much money as Echo Fox turns their attention over to the Infernal Drake. Grabbing this one for themselves will do a lot for this damage-heavy composition, multiplying those offensive statistics even further. While topside, OpTic decides to take this advantage to clear out a little bit of vision, try to control the area around Baron a little bit better for themselves. Control wards placed down by both sides there, as you can see, just below that river brush, keeping an eye on anybody who's going to walk through that path. As OpTic still, Zale, we're almost 30 minutes into this game, and this damn Tier 1 turret will just not yield. Okay.
And as you were saying, it will go down.
That turret does finally fall. Not even 30 minutes into the game.
You called it, Clayton.
We got it, man.
They're on a Baron. I mean, they have full vision control. You can see the assist pings from Echo Fox trying to get some members to come down there. Dhokla 1v1ing on the bottom side. And they still have 2 members on the Baron. Not sure exactly how low it is. It has been spotted now. They may try to finish. It's low.
Pretty darn low there. Arrow and Akaadian going to be taking that one down. powerOfEvil buying some time as he will be resurrected.
Perfectly timed.
Good use of that Zilean ulti. This man is on point, and powerOfEvil's looking to skedaddle out the mid lane there. Will be taken very low. Does go into the hourglass to buy himself just an extra second.
Dhokla's still
Smoothie
pushing,
grabs
though.
the kill onto him. Dhokla still got pressure in the bottom lane. The Baron's still into 4 members of OpTic. That's a win for them.
Yeah, huge win for them. They're able to knock down that Baron so quick with the double marksman. Yes, Echo Fox comes over and they do get the kill onto powerOfEvil, but Huni had to spend his teleport. Dhokla did not. Echo Fox gonna trade back what they can. May be able to knock down this turret. Looks like they will.
Trouble Bubble comes out. Where's the damage on that one? Dhokla taken very low here. Big no ulti available. Still for a few more seconds. Arrow and Akaadian will now be tasked with having to defend this one. Akaadian trying to stay close to his teammate in case he needs to use the Lamb's Respite. Damonte wants to go forward, can't quite find the range he needs to find the kill there onto Arrow. Echo Fox do a great job responding to OpTic's Baron play by taking down the mid lane.
That was really well done. More than they probably should have been able to get. Oh, and the one-shot could come in. Free ulted, though, by Big.
His timing has been exceptional so far, but he now has nothing to save Dhokla, who does give up his life for free as Echo Fox look to make their exit. powerOfEvil finds the shark down onto Huni, gets out the hourglass. Remember, this is still a fight where the numbers favor Echo Fox, and OpTic won't take it any further.
Yeah, the wheels fell off there a little bit for OpTic. I feel like just kind of rushing out of the base a little bit too confident as that inhibitor push did come in, but here is the initial play. powerOfEvil buying a lot of time here with Big, using the bombs for zoning. powerOfEvil just diving right in. Again, perfectly timed Zilean all here from Big. Gets it right as his opponent is going to get that kill, and at least they have to get Huni to TP in to be able to clear this up. powerOfEvil does go down, but they get the Baron. They get out with 4. But on the follow-up play, Echo Fox really got a lot more than I thought they would. Not only did they get the tier 2, that trade seemed reasonable, but they get the inhibitor turret and the inhibitor. So a really good job by Echo Fox, and a lot of that was thanks to Damonte and his good positioning over the wall, finding a pick, forcing out Zilean all. And that kind of choked off Dhokla and separated him from the team. That he goes down, and OpTic lost a lot more, I think, on the back end of that Baron power play than they thought they were going to.
And we talked about the damage potential of the Echo Fox team already. Damonte, he's got the Luden's Echo, he's got the Oblivion Orb, Sorcerer Shoes, Void Staff.
Yeah.
This is just Bazooka Zoe, ready to blow you up 100-0. And look at the itemization on the side of OpTic. We mentioned how this team has no tanks. For magic resistance, you've got a QSS and a Merc Tread for Dhokla, QSS for Akaadian, and honestly, just QSS again for Arrow, I guess. For the other two, there's absolutely nothing. This is a field day for Zoe. You hit a bubble, somebody's in trouble.
Yeah, they really are, but you know, Big has his 40% CDR, 54-second cooldown on that Zilean ultimate, so he is gonna be your resistances, right? Like he is. He's like, don't worry.
Resistance is I still die, but it doesn't matter.
Exactly, you come back to life. So he is that second backup plan, and Echo Fox looking to push here on that bottom lane. I think I've gotten nothing done with this Baron really, and as the Baron is kind of starting to tick down here, I'm not even sure they went gold positive on the play. They may have, but it's pretty close, and
they lost 2 turrets and multiple members, so
yeah, it was very well handled by Echo Fox, honestly. Lost may get chased down though.
Dhokla looking to chase this one even further. Lost is very low. Dhokla's going to be nearly taken down. Does get resurrected. Big with a good job on the ulti here yet again. Akaadian having to pop the Lamb's Respite. Gets himself away now. Dardoch has so much blood in the well, but the ultimate will expire before he can find an opportunity to get himself revived. Lost stays safe, though. That's the important part there for Echo Fox. Did have to burn his flash to get out. Did have to be saved by Smoothie as well, but they got him out. That's what matters.
OpTic is just having trouble getting out on the map. For so long, they had pressure out on the map, and now they are just completely lost it after the inhibitor goes down. You can see the Baron power play amounts to almost nothing, and if they are stuck in 5v5, Echo Fox can still just straight up win, and they have seemed to really corral OpTic into the base after getting that first inhibitor. They're just going to march in, take a second. It felt like OpTic was running away with this game, but a couple small mistakes, Echo Fox get map control, the split push is starting to fall apart, and now it is Echo Fox that really are on the offensive.
And this is what people know and love Echo Fox for, Azael. They want to fight. This is a scrappy team. They look for those plays. They look to find their win conditions. So many times, so many games, we've commented on Echo Fox saying this is not a team that will find themselves behind and simply wait to lose or wait for you to make a mistake. They will always just shoehorn themselves into the driver's seat, even if they have no business being. They will push your foot off the accelerator if they have to.
Exactly. I mean, so few teams I feel like would have pushed for that inhibitor in that situation. They would have maybe taken the tier 2. All right, reset, get ready to defend the Baron push. Echo Fox says, no, we could just kill them and take their inhibitor. They lose all map pressure off that. They're now onto the Elder here. May just be gone before Akaadian's even in range.
Echo Fox daring OpTic to come in and stop. Akaadian goes into the pit, drops the Lamb's Respite. This is going to be a madhouse as Dardoch grabs the kill onto Akaadian. Elder Drake taken very low, going to be secured by Arrow of all people. And now Echo Fox have to try to get themselves away. OpTic find an incredible punish. Dardoch resurrects himself in the pit. Over the wall goes Smoothie, but Arrow chases after him. Axe is juggling, and Smoothie is going home in a body bag as Arrow just waits for the golden statue to end. Dance around, spin the axes. Smoothie will still continue to walk away, and he gets out! He gets out!
But they're just going to end the game here. Everyone is dead. OpTic is in the base. Arrow getting a little bit cocky, but rightfully so. They're going to march it down.
It does not matter how cocky he got, because OpTic Gaming found the one fight they needed. They found it in style, and they found themselves knocking down the Nexus of Echo Fox to take the win.
And what an insane fight around the Elder. Akaadian gets in, uses the Kindred ult, actually immuning the smite from Dardoch. He cannot secure it himself because they burst him down so quickly, but then it is a madhouse going for the Elder Dragon. Dardoch had no smite to grab it, and it's Arrow that comes up with the kill on the Elder Dragon, buffing them up, allowing them to slam through that fight. And what an insane ending to that game. OpTic get a must win for them to stay in that playoff hunt.
Akaadian goes down as the sacrificial lamb. No, that's not a pun. It had to be said. And if you look at how that fight played out, it was just so incredibly crazy. As soon as I saw Akaadian drop, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a mess, because now they'll secure it, they'll take the Elder, they'll take the fight. But it just didn't play out like that, and OpTic found exactly what they were looking for. Right when it looked like they were running out of options, the game wasn't in their control anymore, they were playing by Echo Fox's game, they say no. If Echo Fox can say, nah, we're the ones who are going to decide when we fight. We can do the same.
Yeah, I mean, that game was turning on a dime. It was insane. OpTic felt like they were in full control. Then Echo Fox takes control. They knock down the inhibitors. And just like that, again, they kill them all at the Elder Dragon. They end the game.
Absolutely awesome stuff coming out from OpTic Gaming, who, quite honestly, you couldn't ask for a more explosive finale. Especially considering Lamb's Respite is one of the most explosive abilities in the game, and that's what we got. But now, to help us wrap our mind around that comeback win, let's send things down to OpTic and OpTic's Playful Trickster.
Thanks, guys. PoE, oh my gosh, that last game-winning fight. Tell me how it all went down.
Well, so we knew that they're gonna start the dragon. We had no vision, so we just ran in. We speed buffed the kindred, and it went all so fast. I just screamed at Matthew that he should flash in, and he played insanely well. He ulted the other dragon. I think Dardoch smited it, so he could just smite afterwards, and we just had a really good flank from Fiora and me.
And I want to draw attention to your pick today. Fizz, how do you find the confidence to bring out all these new champs? Fizz, you were the first to bring out Akali, Ahri, out to the professional play.
Well, so I think my team has full confidence in me and my picks, and we are practicing a lot around my champion pool, and I think the team is really open-minded. Same for when I was playing Misfits, so I think I'm just really lucky with my teammates, and I think credit to my teammates. I think they played exceptionally well today. Dhokla survived, I think, a few ganks, and I think that was really good by him.
And we saw your coaching staff and your support staff jump up screaming, run backstage to hug you guys. So this was a great win for your team. But after the winning streak, when you dropped a couple games, how were you guys able to kind of regroup your mentality and come back in today?
Well, so yesterday was a rough loss since they obliterated us. We had legit no chance, and I think we only had one kill. Like, Team Liquid just destroyed us. So we tried to refresh our mindset coming in today. We tried to boost our confidence for each other and just try to play as a team and as we used to. And I think it helped us a lot. And I think we didn't do the same mistakes as we did in the Team Liquid game. Especially, we had a better draft, I would say, so it helped us out. And I think we just played better as a team as well.
And you guys have had one of the tougher ending schedules. I think you have TSM and 100 Thieves next week. How are you going to pick up wins in those important games?
Well, I think we have like the roughest schedule actually ahead of us. All these 4 games are insanely hard, but TSM is going to be the deciding one, I would say, since if we win that one, I think we are pretty much qualified for playoffs. And I think 3 of my teammates never went to playoffs, so I'm going to try my best to get them to playoffs, and I promised Terry, or Big already, that I want to get him there, since I think he deserves it, and he did really good this split, and I think I'm just going to do my best to get them here.
Well, PoE, thank you and congratulations. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst desk.
Thank you, Avali. A spicy game 1 here on Sunday. Upset OpTic Gaming over Echo Fox. It was a tight game, back and forth. Both teams had their moments of glory and their little moments of defeat within the game itself, but comes down to an Elder Drake fight, and OpTic comes out on top.
Yeah, and even at the start of the draft, it's strange, but the draft played a lot like the game did, where you're just willing to go for it. And a lot of teams who end up doing this against Echo Fox just get obliterated, but OpTic was able to come out on top here. So, like, even from just the very beginning of giving up the Aatrox, that's something no one else is willing to do. And there was just a bunch of bluffs that went on throughout it. So you have the Aatrox counterpicked by Fiora. But actually, why Aatrox is often banned is because even if you counterpick the Fiora, they can move him somewhere else, and that gives the Rumble. And then Mark can talk about the other mind game between the Zilean and the Zoe.
Yeah, this is something where it feels like Zoe's going to kind of have a really good matchup into the Zilean, and that might have forced it out of the mid lane. It's hard to say exactly, but that only happens because they're banning out junglers because they feel like they haven't picked it yet. They banned the Gragas, which we talked about maybe being a bit of a soft counter to this combo, and then suddenly the jungler's actually the Aatrox, the Rumble's going top, and now Zoe is the mid laner that you maybe should have banned out instead of that. But either way, you end up with a very crazy draft, and this is one of the things why people think Aatrox is so hard to counterpick, is because you can always stick him in the jungle. It happened in Academy, happened again here today, and it makes it so those counterpicks are not guaranteed at all.
All right, so let's dive into the early portions of this game, the interaction between the Aatrox at early levels and the kindred. fun little interaction around the Scuttle Crab.
Well, this is really important to note how important priority is in the early game. Dardoch can actually beat Akaadian in a 1v1 here, but Arrow was able to move up and throw some extra damage on the Scuttle Crab and make sure Dardoch couldn't actually finish that one off. And then both people want to collapse on the Scuttle Crab on the top side. Akaadian wants his mark, Dardoch wants his first Scuttle Crab. And once again, how important priority is. Dardoch has to go the long way around. Akaadian takes the short path, so he's actually able to get there first, despite Dardoch kind of being the one who left the first Scuttle Crab. And Dardoch intelligently waits, though, knowing that this is where Akaadian's going.
Yeah, it's so hard to follow from the mid lane, but why Echo Fox wins this is they're not necessarily thinking about top priority since the Scuttle Crab starts so far down. And then Dardoch goes for the kill here with his Q flash, but Akaadian flashed at just the right time. Otherwise, this would have just been a 1-for-0 and it's done. Even so, though, it does extend because of the Rumble coming down from the
Right, absolutely. It starts as the extra man coming in for OpTic first, but then the extra man for Echo Fox comes in first as well. And so they're actually able to clean this up 2-for-1 because the Fiora's still in lane. And that was a lot of what spurred the early game forward for Echo Fox, that they won this skirmish, they got ahead, and they kind of did the typical Echo Fox style and kept pushing those advantages.
Right, the early priority definitely helping out Echo Fox with Huni being able to roam down in response to powerOfEvil. Let's jump ahead in the game, 18 minutes. OpTic Gaming with a 3-for-1 here to kind of reestablish themselves in the match.
And this was where Echo Fox had the chance to blow open the game, but they're pushed up without their mid laner and do not cover wards behind them, do not ward their flanks well, and get pretty destroyed. Even if a Fiora and Fizz aren't your typical backline damage dealers, if you give them a flank, they will destroy you.
Yeah, that's a big tip of the cap for PoE for getting the ward for Dhokla for the TP2 and then also kind of starting that fight off. And because Damonte was not able to get in there in time, the rest of the team's pretty much already destroyed by when he gets there. And this is when things start stalling out for Echo Fox. Both teams have very aggressive comps. There's not that much tankiness on either side. Lots of utility, so it's very intricate team fighting. And once the game kind of stalled out, you saw OpTic had their moments. Echo Fox had their moments from then on.
And that's where you said, Jad, earlier that this game came down to a lot of tough decisions for both teams. I want to spotlight one of them for OpTic Gaming, perhaps a place where, you know, they've shown us in the past they got great control over their split-pushing strategy. Here they falter.
Right, Fizz, Fiora, a 1-3-1. At this point in the game, Rumble can't handle Fiora, so he's got a good wave push in the bottom, and the team actually gets Baron. So this is a game where I feel like coaches should actually go back to these spots, sit down, and just start asking their players, what would you do? Because you need to be able to make these decisions instantly. Here we go. PoE decides to zone off for the Baron, and that sacrifices his life after the Zilean ultimate. But Huni decides to teleport in now, and this is extremely dangerous because they're up against a Baron Fiora, and they've just gotten rid of their top laner's TP advantage. So that's like a freeze frame. You could, say, push bottom lane with Fiora. Worst case, you get recalls out of Echo Fox, but I think they're afraid that Echo Fox is going to 4 or 5-man mid somehow in a 4v3 situation and get a lot.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to be in. OpTic decides to have Dhokla back, but then they get dove and lose their inhib anyways.
Right.
Lose like 3 or 4 QSSs, and the situation's not any better. If you kept him in the bot lane and tried to hold on as best you could 3v5, maybe you can make it so Echo Fox gets into a base race situation, which we've seen OpTic come out ahead on before. Either way, they choose not to go with the base race decision here.
Right.
And it didn't look much better, but it's hard to know.
Bringing the Fiora back didn't really seem to stall out that mid push of Echo Fox. As you mentioned, they were able to execute the dive, ultimately get the inhib down, which established a fair amount of map control for Echo Fox. It didn't look good for OpTic at that point, and that's where we fast forward to that final fight around the dragon. PoE talks about pulling the trigger with no vision here. Kindred's going to go in, use that ultimate to make sure that the Elder Drake doesn't go down.
And once again, not opting for the split push. There's a massive wave in the top side. The TPs are still down from Huni from that previous play, so they could have potentially had Dhokla TP top and just stall them out here, but instead they go for the 5v5. The Kindred ult is great, baits the smite. You also have that bit of a whiff on a Rumble
Draven's
ult.
going to secure it, though.
Yeah, Draven gets the last attack to get it, and because they were so much focused on the Kindred ultimate on Elder Dragon and the Rumble ult, no one checks Dhokla in this fight for a little bit too long. He's able to get a lot of damage down, and then the Zilean ult on top of it make sure that when they do focus him, he's back up and killing people.
Yeah, slick escape for Smoothie there at the end, but all for naught, as OpTic will pick up the game victory. But again, that's one of the situations, as you mentioned, with that wave pushing in the top lane and a TP discrepancy. There's very easily another decision that OpTic could have made, and who's to say what was the right one? Hindsight says they made the right call here to get the victory.
And that's one of the reasons they talk so highly of Big, because I imagine Big is probably the one saying, even if he's not making all the calls in fight, okay, contest. Because you need someone to say contest or split. That has to be decided in half a second.
Right.
Right?
The high-level macro call has to be made.
Right? And you can argue whether or not that was the right call afterwards, but people need to commit to it.
Right, so even if I say, man, I would have preferred the split push, the fact that Dhokla was on the same page with the team and focusing on flanking because most likely Big was saying we're contesting this, setting him up so Dhokla can start making the right decisions faster.
Yeah, and we spent a lot of time talking about this game because it was crazy and super entertaining with basically 9 squishy characters and a bunch of flanks and stuff. Like, it was awesome. But it's so important for OpTic's season. Like, they had, coming into this week, 7-7 record with the hardest schedule in the league.
Liquid and Echo Fox were their 2 opponents this week. To come out 1-1 in that, chat.
Huge. They played the first and the third place team, and they are in direct contention with TSM, C9, and FlyQuest. So to be 8-8 with TSM coming up as their next game, if they win that, they are probably in playoffs because they were able to win this game.
Right. Yeah. Most importantly, 9-9 teams have never missed playoffs, and so if they win the TSM game, they're 9-8. They can lose that 100 Thieves game maybe and still be fine.
Think they're
very likely they'll still make it into playoffs. On the flip side, the first O2 weekend for Echo Fox this summer split, and so while they're still sitting at 9-6, their playoff picture is not necessarily in dire straits. This is not the way you want to be concluding your season.
Yeah, they blow up their roster at the trade deadline, and they're 3-3 since then. So at first we said they had this high ceiling, but there's still clearly some growing pains, I feel like. They had, I think, the better draft. I think they had the better early game play. They had that huge gold lead, but they didn't make the right calls in the mid game, and then in the late game, OpTic completely outplayed them.
A few execution mistakes means that they don't come away with the victory, but for OpTic fans and the OpTic team, they're very happy to come out of this weekend 1-1. Game 1 was wild. We'll see if Game 2 can deliver just as much hype. Golden Guardians and Clutch are facing off after the break.
I drove my bike to the store to get RP because someone said he could give me Black Alistar, and I was a little dumbass, and I gave him the code for Black Alistar, and then he took it and deleted me.
They're looking to bait this one in. Dardoch's still going to be taken low. And first blood goes to PoE. Akaadian can't get himself over the wall. It could be a 2-for-1. And Echo Fox will mop him up.
I'm watching Fiora, I'm watching Fiora.
Go for Rumble, go for Rumble.
Go. If you give me kill if you can.
Nice block from Arrow, keeping his support alive as powerOfEvil now going to be taken down. But it's 1-for-1. Madhouse as Dardoch grabs the kill onto Akaadian. Elder Drake taken very low, going to be secured by Arrow of all people.
Just push, right? I'm up to 10 seconds.
Let's push. Oh my god, good job guys.
Why
Holy fuck.
just troll it, dude?
I trolled really hard.
Welcome back to Assist of the Week.